Did you? No, not yet. Come on. Did you go to the graphic holiday? No. I drove past the sign and hopefully nobody else. Sounds like they had a good time. I saw a picture of Liz, Courtney. Yeah, I was gonna get a quote from her. Do like some kind of. All right. All right, welcome everyone. I wasn't here for the last one. Had a good meeting. So we have to, we didn't have a quorum last time, so we have to approve both October and November meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, second. We do both? Is that for both? Yeah, I think we could double down. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting minutes are approved for October and November. All right, let's just jump right in, and I don't know if anyone had any changes to the agenda from what I sent out last week. There were some new soil borings, I guess, that I heard from Peter. Let's get a quick update on that. There's some discussion on the wetland permit and the subcontractor work related to the wetland permit, the historic preservation permit. And of course, that was this one trying to inquire about the Act 250 permit amendment for the school. There's some, maybe Peter can give us a little update on his correspondence with Elliot at the school board. And I was just curious where our bid schedule was at, what that timeline might look like. But Peter, if you want to jump in on those, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. We are moving a lot of balls forward and things are going well. We advanced all the soil borings. I don't have an update on the results. I didn't hear anything super dramatic, so I'm assuming that's good news. I need to check in with our site remediation team and just understand a little better if there were any interesting findings. I suspect we're still waiting for the laboratory analytical results that we may have submitted. But as far as I know, that all went smoothly. We have next item on your sort of hit list was the wetland permit that has been submitted to the state and is in their queue for review. There isn't really an official historic preservation permit, but we have been working with Scott Dillon with SHPO, and my understanding is he's ready to sign off on the project, which is kind of one of the last pieces of the environmental interest document. He's looking to see our 90% plans. I think we just found this out today or yesterday from Lynette, and just kind of to confirm that nothing in the project has shifted from our 60% plans. And then he can sign off on that for the environmental interest document. We're actually pretty far along in our 90% plans, and I expect to be able to get them over to him pretty shortly. So that is going well. Our Act 250 permit is pretty much drafted. We're still pulling together some of the supporting documents. and piecing that together, and that should be ready relatively soon. That should be a pretty straightforward permit, since there's not a whole lot happening that will change that permit. I'll hold off on this last one because that's probably a little bit longer picture, the project bid schedule. We are also, Amy is wrapping up a hydrogeologic report that sort of summarizes all of our findings specifically around the school. And she's hoping to have a draft of that report ready by the end of this week. And we're scheduling meetings with the folks at DEC to kind of go over the details of that. Probably the first week in January. It's sort of looking like that is the likely date. And once we have that kind of discussed and through DC, we'll be packaging up sort of the full indirect discharge permit application to submit to the state. Ashawak, Ashawak's not on the call, but she'll be reviewing that, and she's already seen the plans a couple of times and will be a part of the hydrogeologic discussions. So hopefully there's no surprises in her review when that gets on her desk. We just pan in your agenda, make sure I'm not stealing thunder from later in the meeting, but we've collectively been making pretty good progress on getting all the deeds from the connections. I think we're down to, oh God, I was about to say 6 or 7. I guess I just said it, but
It's not that many. No,
what's that?
not that many.
It's not even that many. That's great to hear, Linda. The spreadsheet that Alex sent around, I think, had 6. 2 of them were Margaret Tatros. And there were a couple that he and I were chatting about today that may not have really been reflected correctly, or for me, I thought they should be a little bit more obvious that we're still working on them, which is MSI and Jacqueline Bear Burgess. I
We
think
lost
is
your
also
audio, Peter.
completely gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's on. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I've had a lot of
I
problems with
think
my
it's
microphone.
the room because I could hear just fine.
What was that, Lynette?
Yeah, I could hear him on Zoom too.
Yeah, we got like some kind of crap.
It's the
Lynette's-
room.
Yeah. Sounds like it might be on your end.
Okay.
I think it might, there's some crackling. coming
Yeah,
from
we
the
hear some
speaker.
static. Yeah, some crackling.
I will say I've had some problems with my microphone, and so hopefully it's not too much of a problem. I don't know if it's my internet connection or something's going on the microphone, but I'll try to talk directly into it.
Can you just repeat what you said just before that, Peter? Because we missed it here.
I am not sure what I was saying. I may have been mentioning that we are down. We were talking about the remaining easements we need, and I might have mentioned
I lost you again.
weird.
We can't hear you.
Huh.
Can you guys hear him on Zoom, what he just said? Or I don't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna punt to Seth and see if he's any better. He can talk about MSI and those conversations. I'll take a little break from talking. How about that?
Okay.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, everybody. So to give some background, had several meetings with Jim Mahoney from MSI. As I think you know, there has been continued back and forth about what their initial permitted capacity should be for the former Bucks building. There is a prospective tenant with fairly ambitious ideas about potential growth of the material they would be making there. But that at this point is kind of speculative. Had some discussions with JB, the other consultant who assisted with the development of the ordinance, as well as Jim on how to address that. And um, an option available that they are open to is a initial allocation similar to their current permitted capacity for the grandfathered system, and then a 5-year reserve that would provide the town with some upfront uh, funding for the system reserve fund and enable them to kind of hold capacity for 5 years if that tenant does in fact pan out, and if with the ability to renew. If not, it could be returned at the end of the 5 years and become available for other people in the village. And as some back and forth, it seems like an approach that would provide some surety for the town, as well as not, you know, um, basically hold up capacity that wouldn't be potentially used. So JB is in the process of um, looking at what the raw numbers might be in terms of capacity and the cost and payment that would look like. Um, does that make sense to folks? And this
So can you just, what's their, maximum allocation that, like, if they want in 5 years for that they want to hold in addition to what they have now, like, what's that difference?
So their current permitted base for the grandfathered system they have, the current permitted capacity is about 1,500 gallons per day. The reserve might be, depending on the final cost after JB looks at the numbers, between an additional 1,500 to 2,000. So that's a big number to have permanently allocated for, a speculative, not, I don't want to say speculative, but for something that may not happen if that tenant's growth doesn't occur. So the 5 years would enable that to come back. That's the range though that we're working with, like 1,500 to 2,000 additional.
And we had, what about 10,000 extra gallons per day? Is that my understanding, Peter, about ballpark? So this would just tap into 2,000 of that 10,000 at most?
Yeah, that's about right. There's probably a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know with some add-ons that we have, like Tetro, if might have bumped the numbers up a little bit.
I think so, but it's not going to be a huge difference when you're talking residential.
Is that new tenant already in place, and then the speculation is just on what their product growth would be? Okay.
That's my understanding. That correct, Peter?
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This is the beverage, specialty
Yes.
beverage company?
Yeah. And so you could see how a specialty beverage could, if it's successful, need more water, but if it's steady growth, it could be significantly less. It's as discussions with Peter and on the engineering and such, it's hard to come up with a first year capacity based on a 5-year plan for something that could vary so much.
Now, is that just the manufacturing of this product, or is it they're going to do retail sales or anything else there or in the plan? Like a shop, for example?
What I think, Peter, what we've seen is the employees and primarily the manufacturing employees, if they were to do a retail shop or, something else, they would still need to go through the town site plan review process. And I don't believe that has happened yet. But that does not mean that it won't happen. My understanding though is a retail is a compared to the manufacturing is a fairly small allocation. Is that correct, Peter?
That would be correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Peter, circling back to the wetland permit, is how I've heard that there's like 6-month processing time at DEC with wetland permits. Is that, are we going to be quicker than that? Just looking at the calendar and when construction starts?
I would hope so. I don't know if Lynette has any insight on that. They do have a special ARPA
That's right.
wetland biologist. So I'm hoping that helps expedite that. Lynette, any thoughts?
With the ARPA applications, you're supposed to indicate that it's a ARPA funded project. And then we have staff that are separately assigned to track those and make sure that they don't get lost. So I can check in with the tracking staff to see if there's a different ETA and get back to you.
That would be
Thanks.
great, Lynette. I've been I don't know if Alex has checked in, but that's kind of on our list too, just to make sure it's in the queue and in the right place.
Peter, regarding the Act 250 amendment, I mean, that your conversation with Elliot, do you want to just share that? So are you planning to meet with Elliot again, maybe next month at the school board meeting for another update? Is that my sense from the email exchange?
Potentially, I think I was hoping that the board would get a chance to review the easement that David had prepared a while back. In my opinion, it's pretty straightforward and really kind of covers the school pretty well. So I'm hoping they're in support of it. I know the school attorney already reviewed it. And our thought is that any real details on the relationship between the town and the school would be not in a cumbersome easement, but kind of more of a MOU that could get worked out as we start to think about the management of the system itself. Does that make sense to this committee? And I guess Linda in particular, who kind of deals with a lot of this sort of thing?
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Oh, that's okay. Pretty rare that I catch you, Linda, but I got you, I guess. I'm imagining you might have looked at the easement that David pulled together a while
Yes,
back.
yeah, I know with it, yeah.
It's very simple and straightforward, but it's also
Right.
very protective of the school, in my opinion, anyway. I thought it was well done and kind of just is kind of what we needed.
Well,
So
both attorneys approved it. I mean, they work together. So they're both
Exactly.
representing they're representing the different entities there and they came to an agreement. So they're the ones that are happy with it.
That was my feeling too. And what I was also suggesting, Linda, the part that you missed was that ultimately we'd have some sort of an MOU between the town and the school that gets into more of the nitty gritty of operations and various things that might need to be kind of laid out in writing.
You need like
And
a
my,
policy or something, and once the thing is built, like when it can go on and so forth
yeah, exactly.
onto the property. Yeah, I think that will help. We're gonna be having a new principal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Okay.
a good idea to get that in place.
Yeah.
When does the new principal start?
Well, he's,
Not till next year?
Yeah.
School year? Okay.
Okay. That's good to know.
Hopefully this will be built by then. At the school part of it.
right, so he'll probably start the new year, the new school year, usually September. We won't quite have finished, but,
So anyway, Elliot's message was that they were hoping to take a look at the easement tomorrow, but they had a pretty packed schedule and that they might not be able to get to it till January, which I think in the grand scheme of all the things that are sort of coming together, I think that'll work out fine, especially in light of the fact that the school's attorney already looked at it.
Okay. Um, so, Peter, do you want to discuss are we on track for public hearing on January 20th? And there's some discussion about, was the 90% design presentation potentially at that meeting as well? Is that my understanding from I wasn't here for the last meeting. I know the hearing was delayed. That was potentially for this month and to next month. Is that
Right.
Yeah. Can you discuss that?
Yeah, that's my thought. Lynette, I don't know how you feel about the idea of also doing the 90%. I know that's something we talked about, and I honestly can't remember if you chimed in or not.
I I would like to have a 90% review. Yeah.
Well, I guess the question is if we would try to do it at the same time as the environmental review hearing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Jim, I guess a little bit of hiccup that I have that I should share. And I'm curious if we can, well, this is asking Lynette if we think we can pull this all together in this amount of time too, is I found out in the last month that I tore my rotator cuff back in June. And the surgeons advised me not to wait very long since it's already been so long to have surgery on it. And I am scheduled for surgery January 14th. And I guess I'm wondering if folks would be open to the idea of bumping that meeting a week ahead so that in case I'm still recovering and not ready for a meeting a week later, it's out of the way.
So you mean the combination wastewater and hearing?
Yeah, it would be like
to the 13th, you're saying
For
the
the
13th?
For the 13th, yeah.
And would that give you enough time, we said, with Lynette to review the 90% too before, if you're gonna make it a week sooner?
Peter, can we do like an appointment at your office to do the review?
For the 90%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would probably make sense.
Okay.
Where is it open? The
I
13th?
was just looking to see when it is, and so I was confused, are we doing this in the wastewater committee or at the select board?
Linda, I think we could do it either way.
Peter, we can't hear you again. Sorry.
The Peter's response was that could be either committee, the select board, or the wastewater committee?
It could be either.
It could be either, as long as it's a publicly warned hearing. My thought was it might be simpler to have it as a wastewater committee meeting.
Yeah,
I'm sure the select board have a lot on their plates for January. I'm open to either one, though, quite honestly, whichever works better for folks.
so if we did as part of the wastewater meeting, is the ask, can we shift the wastewater meeting to the 13th and then we do the hearing at the 13th?
That is the ask, although I could say that if we can't switch it, and it's the 20th, I'm expecting to be kind of back at it, and between myself, Amy, and Alex, I think we could cover that meeting and do just fine.
What do you guys think?
I'm fine on the 13th.
Yeah. Gotta get Bruce back in here too. I think we could shift it as long as we, advertise that on Front Porch Forum and put it on our website. And you have enough time to warn that meeting too, Peter, for the hearing?
Yeah, my understanding, as long as it's warned properly by Vermont public meeting laws and it's on the agenda, that's all we really need to do. Does that sound correct, Lynette?
Not a separate
Yes.
warning, just as part of the wastewater.
Right.
It should be clear that it's a hearing in the warning.
But it should be a warning, instead of just the wastewater meeting agenda with that on the agenda.
So there's a requirement for the warning for the meeting, and the warning should include that the meeting is a hearing, has a hearing component in it.
Okay. Is there a certain amount of days ahead that needs to be warned?
Well, regular public meetings, 48.
48.
I thought we talked about 30 at one point.
30 days.
For this, so Lynette, once they've approved the environmental interest document, there will be a notice that goes out for 30 days for public comment.
Right.
So I think that's where the 30 days came from. And then the hearing itself just needs to follow Vermont meeting law.
Okay, so as long as it's within that 30-day period that we have the hearing.
Correct. That's my understanding. Does that all sound right, Lynette?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, so everyone here in the room, Bruce is not here today, but is okay with that, Tori, Seth? You guys okay with that? Okay. So we're gonna shift the January meeting to the 13th. Guess we should start plugging that. Maybe right after holiday. And we're gonna do the 90% as part of that.
I think Lynette and I just talked about maybe doing a separate meeting for that.
Okay, doesn't have to be public then. Okay.
Correct, yeah.
So we'll do our normal what we typically do when we have an add-on to the wastewater, we'll do a contracted wastewater meeting like from 5 to 6 and then have the hearing at 6. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yep.
I don't think the public hearing's gonna last an hour.
Probably not.
Probably 15 minutes, no one will come.
Right.
Well, we could do our regular meeting like 5 to 6:30 or something and then have the meeting at 6:30 or I don't know how long we need for our meetings.
I think your original suggestion is fine, Jim, but I think Linda's right. It won't take a full hour. So, but yeah, I'm guessing a half hour is probably plenty.
And a lot of times you can do I do on the agenda for the select board. You can head it off with a public meeting notice of what's going on. And then you put the wastewater meeting, immediately after, so you don't really have to be tied to a time. So.
Have they have
it's over,
hearing, have
then
hearing
we'll
first.
have the wastewater, yeah, and that way you're not waiting.
Good to me. No meeting. So yeah, so we're gonna cancel the 20th. Is that was this room free?
But they don't have a calendar up there, so I circled on the January 26th for everything I'm getting in.
We think it's okay if we have the room.
Do we think it's okay? What?
We don't have a January reserve calendar for the room, so
Oh,
we just have to double check that.
okay. Well, if it doesn't work, let me know. And like I said, we can find a way to make the 20th work. I'm
People meet on Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll say it's the 13th unless we hear otherwise.
okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So, okay, do we want to talk about the spreadsheet and I know you just kind of skimmed over it, Peter, and maybe Peter and Linda on the latest on the right of ways, partial releases. I had that here, Tetro had multiple lots. Last time we didn't hear back from Pete Johnson. Linda, I think, updated that Douglas submitted theirs. But yeah, if we want to just go over
So Pete Johnson did finally send it in to David. I hope it's two of them, not one of them, but David emailed me that he had received it. We had to resend them out to him. I received it this week. Like I said, it took me a few times, but I got Douglas to sign.
All right.
I've been working on the FHR, right? FPHR, one.
And which one is
It's like four, it's the one straight across here.
Okay.
Um,
What's the first name?
Jackie. It's, yeah, so anyway.
Maybe. Maybe.
No, she's definitely a yes.
But just getting.
But she's in the middle of getting a divorce and her husband lives in Australia and her brother has to sign a power of attorney to sign the easement, and it's taken me 4 phone calls, but I think we're getting closer.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't know. The ones that aren't done, Margaret Tratro has 2. I don't know. I asked David to do a new deed for that additional lot and I sent him all the information. I don't know if he sent them to her.
How come only 2? She's got 3 other.
She has 4,
Four
but
lots.
one of them's got that, because that's all she wants to do. One of them supposedly, according to Kurt Billings, is wetlands. It's a tiny little lot next to her house and the other lot. The other one's that red barn across the street. But it's just a workshop.
So the 2 that she signed up for is for her house and the red building or
No,
the
where that mobile home used to
Okay.
be that her daughter lived that they took away. Just recently.
Okay, so there she's not gonna try to get the red building hooked up.
No, it's just a workshop with like a dirt floor.
I didn't know she was gonna try to sell it or something.
That's all she was interested in, according to Alex, I don't know.
Probably Alex, yeah.
So this Stephen and Jill Whitney who live right there, the numbers that I kept calling weren't working. I finally got something from Alex today. They came to that meeting of ours, where we could answer questions and sign, but I don't know whatever happened.
Were they a yes, and we're just still waiting on the releases, or
They were
not?
yes
Not sure.
then.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And there's Michelle Bordeaux in town, living in Arlo's old house. I've called her 2 or 3 times. Left messages, no response. Her property got pretty flooded.
So was she, again, was she?
She's a yes.
She's a yes, but you're still waiting.
Yeah, but so maybe someone else needs to reach out to these other ones.
That's the one,
I got everybody else.
that's the one near Pete Johnson's apartment place.
Yeah, and Alex is working with Ken Grimes, I think.
Yeah, he said he felt like he was making some progress there.
So what, does he have, 2?
I don't know.
Did he want to do the farmhouse?
I think he
Alex
only
is-
wanted to do one, and then
Alex-
a stub for the other.
Alex is working with him, and this Kenneth and Patricia Williams is just like nowhere to be found. They're not a yes anyway.
They're not a yes. So for example, the Tetro 2 lots, are we just doing stubs on the second lot, or are we doing septic?
No,
Tank.
2 septic tanks.
2 septic tanks, okay.
So we just need to follow up and see where Margaret is with signing her deeds. And reaching out to Whitney and Bordeaux to find out where they are. Seth's working on MSI and Alex is working with Grimes.
So for even the nose, did we decide we're gonna put a stub in anyway at the nose? Not the tank, but the stub?
No,
No? But what are your thoughts on that, Peter? If we change landowners, the property sells 5-10 years from now, is it worth having a stub there?
Yeah,
He
I
says-
think it probably is. It's not a huge expense, and then it's still in the state or town right away, and it's there if somebody wants to connect.
well,
I think-
what is not a great expense?
Stub.
I'd like to know that at some point.
Oh, how
It doesn't have to be right
Yeah.
now.
You mean how much?
Yeah, how much of the grant money it would take before I would
Yeah.
go.
Well, less than $1,000. I'll have to get back to you on what the actual assembly costs. I don't have it on the tip of my tongue, but probably somewhere between 500 and 1,000.
It's just something to consider that the no's could be yeses later on.
It is a good point, yeah. But there's going to be a pretty significant, expense to somebody anyway, and there's going to be significant construction happening. So
Right.
it's not that big of a deal to shut down the system for the amount of time it takes to make that connection. So there could probably also be an argument that it's just another kind of maintenance point that isn't necessary. So I'll put a little more thought into that and circle back.
How many hard no's do we have? Like half dozen?
What's your right here on this thing?
Um,
5.
yeah, 5. Not that many.
But I mean, people who are not connecting,
You don't want
no, I do want them out. It will
to, I mean, you
eventually, the more people that connect will eventually benefit everyone.
that's what I'm thinking.
That's better.
So why not put the stubs in. So as long as we don't need a right of way or release to put a stub in, right? I mean, that's part of the main line.
I
I
just
think there's
wanna know, because, start keeping a good, eye on this grant money and how far it's gonna go and cost overruns. I don't wanna be wasting money on people that don't wanna hook up now.
right.
It would,
That's all.
but if it's, I mean, maybe Peter needs to crunch the numbers, but doesn't seem like much.
I don't think it'll be a huge amount, but
Mention tax money, it is. Every
Yeah.
cent counts.
yeah. And we could also consider putting it as an add alt that we maybe decide after the bids come in too, whether or not we want to do it.
I don't think putting a stub in will change anybody's mind,
No,
whether to connect them.
no, I was thinking, let's just say that person sold the house, left town. Would it be, would be a little bit easier for the next person that wants to hook up or the system failed?
It's a little bit easier, but there's a pretty significant amount of construction and cost to put the step tanks in and get that all wired up and get the control panels. Really, if you're going through all that, tapping into the existing force main isn't a huge deal. The counter argument is that if it is in place, it does make it a little easier in terms of disruptions to the system when that time comes, because it's really just hooking up to an existing valve versus actually having to make a break and install a new valve.
We lost you again, Peter. Sorry, we lost your
Sorry
audio.
about that.
Is there
Sorry
paving
about
involved too, Pete?
Sorry, Lynette. What?
Is there paving involved with this too, or is there it out of the pavement?
For the most part, it's out of the pavement, but that's a good consideration as well. Yep.
Oh, the one thing I was gonna ask is the five no's, which ones don't meet criteria?
Probably most of them.
Oh, okay.
Those are,
It was Teal, Billings, Bowers, Davis, Wolf, and Hayes.
Bill Bowers did end up signing.
Bill Billings. Hayes.
Wolf, Davis, who would I had?
So Davis
Um,
has a new system that is okay. Hayes is okay. Davis is okay.
And Wolf was okay.
Wolf is okay.
So it's just Bowers, Billings, Teal.
No, Bowers
Three of the
signed up.
five do meet the opt-out criteria.
So just two don't meet criteria.
Who don't? Yep.
Anything else we want to talk about on the spreadsheet? Peter, is there anything else that new news in that latest spreadsheet that we want to share?
I don't think so, other than I'm curious if anyone has a strategy for getting those stragglers.
The Whitney Bordeaux travelers.
Anyone else want to give a try?
Yeah, I mean, we can,
So what's going on with Whitney again?
I don't know.
they were,
I
yes.
had the wrong. They were
Where are they?
just right there.
Right here.
Mhm.
Do we maybe want to have David send another letter to those folks? Kind of a last call type of letter?
Yeah, when's our drop dead date on that, Peter?
30th.
The November 30th. I mean, I think we still have time to squeeze people in, and we can kind of juggle right up till the final permit application, which is likely going to be mid-January. But I mean, at this point, we should be closing in on them.
We just need the right of way and the partial release from those two. And that's it, right?
I'm sorry, which two?
From Whitney and Bordeaux.
Oh,
We need
Yes.
their deed. And I'm not sure where Margaret's deeds are.
Pedro.
She's been talking with Alex. I've never talked. She
Alex
talked.
has been in touch with them, yes,
Right.
but we haven't seen the deed yet, right?
All right.
And I just had a question about this too, because for those that might take an extra month past when permits need to be submitted, could those confidently be identified as folks that would get back to us and could be handled differently in the design plans just for the permitting purposes?
My understanding, Tori, is that we need to have the easements in place, sort of securing the land that we're doing the project on in order to get the permits. I think we could probably submit and still make some changes during the review before it's issued. So there probably is a little more wiggle room even into that.
In a previous meeting, I thought Lynette may have mentioned like keeping them invisible on the plans so that when they do finally sign stuff, they can still connect.
Yeah, I think she was probably referring to kind of keeping them in our CAD drawings in the background so that it's easy to just add it back in.
Right. So with indirect discharge, there's a little bit of nuance with the submittal. So when you make the initial application, you send in a draft set of plans. They will review that draft set of plans. And to the extent that you can, you should include any of the service connections on those plans, but just make it clear which ones are having easement issues so that they can be frozen or hidden from the final plan set if those easements don't come through for the final plan set. But once their review is completed, they will then take that final plan set and do the public notice with the draft permit. And then there's still a period from the draft permit to when they actually finalize the permit, which could be 6 to 8 weeks.
So there's the majority of folks who will be ready to participate on the drawings by mid-January, and then maybe an extra month or two for someone like Margaret Tatro, who's
But it shouldn't
coming.
be any reason why. I mean, we just need to spend the time and nothing else, knock on our door. I just didn't know, I haven't dealt with her. I just didn't know who was dealing with her. So,
I think Alex has had quite a few conversations, both with her
and her daughter Debbie.
daughter and yeah, I think it's her daughter, right? Yep. But most recently he's been discussing it directly with her. So
Okay, so we have some follow-up with Tetro, Whitney, and Bordeaux, and we have this mid-January drop dead date-ish. Okay, so Peter, you said you did not want to talk about the kind of bid schedules? It was too premature to discuss that, or?
No, I just,
Conversation?
I think we can now. I just felt like there's a lot of other pieces still to talk about to not jump into that. Um, so obviously we have to submit the permits and we are hoping to get permits back. So I mean, my hope is still to be putting this out to bid. At this point, it's probably going to be like March. Um, Lynette, I don't know if you have any thoughts from your experience and kind of where we're at, what's realistic. It's starting to get tight, obviously, but all the pieces are
Right.
starting to come together.
I think it a little bit depends on when the IDR application goes in, but hopefully you can get that in as soon as possible. They technically have 4 months. But Ashrak can be a little faster, but not necessarily a lot faster, because she's been involved right along.
Right.
And so Peter, let's just say if you put it out in March, the bid, uh, what I've been trying to, in my mind, we talked about like as soon as the snow goes, starting construction, is that like late April, early May? What if between the bid going out and excavator in the ground? What's that?
I think realistically, what we're probably going to be shooting for is at this point more like a work around the school calendar year and be focusing on that piece during, when school gets out. So probably more like a June start with a focus on that, and then probably a lot more focused later in the summer and into the fall for a lot of the rest of it.
So you're saying the school construction in June at when the kids are out of school? And
Correct. Yep.
and then after that, the rest of it in late summer, early fall?
Well, I mean, it all depends on how the contractor wants to do it. My hope is to end up with a contractor with a lot of manpower and they can have multiple crews working different parts of the town at the same time.
Right.
I think that'll be the best outcome in terms of like getting this done quickly and efficiently.
So are we still realistic in having this done, completely built by this time next year?
I think that's a conversation we probably need to be having with Lynette and the folks at DC and just kind of understand if there's any wiggle room on the dates or not. It's all very tight right now. I'll definitely say that.
Lynette, how drop dead are our grant dates as far as completing construction?
Um, for Wolcott, it is absolutely drop dead.
It's absolutely drop dead. Did I hear a when?
So the grant conditions apply. It's still the ARPA funding. So um, if you have other funds beyond the ARPA funding, then those can probably be used later. But the ARPA funding itself has to be, I think, in accordance with your grant agreement, expended by September.
September of 2026.
I thought
No, I thought
Well,
we have a new new amendment to that.
Yeah, I thought it was end of year.
I swear we have a new amendment to the grant.
That's my understanding, that we had till the end of the calendar year at this point.
I can double check that.
I'll have to go look.
The I just pulled up the most recent grant amendment. Construction phase was changed to September 30, 27.
All right. Okay. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong list.
September
But those
27th.
dates are also firm. So
They're what?
For. So just so we're clear, the ARPA drop dead date for end of construction is September 27th, not,
So I apologize. Wolcott's grant was converted from
Right.
ARPA to general fund dollars. And so
Right.
the grant agreement expires in September of 27.
Okay, that's helpful. I was unclear if we had gotten an extension past the end of 2026 or not.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
we can share the grant agreement with you, Peter.
Okay,
so it's September
27.
27th,
Mhm.
but we're still hoping to have this built by snowfly next year. I mean,
They could, if they start early, you could get the bottom stuff done before you get to the school if you really had to.
right? Is there a possibility this could linger into the 27 construction season, Peter?
I think there's that possibility, yeah, especially if we have some flexibility. But I think we'll know more in the next month as things start to come together and get some clarity on when we can actually put it out to bid.
Well, the reason I'm asking is so we're consistent on the messaging because we've been telling everybody it would be built by the end of, end of 2026.
I would say it's premature to change the messaging unless the committee feels like they want to. Honestly, it's all coming together. Right? If there's that flexibility, I don't know for sure that it's going to be wrapped up by the end of the construction season.
I think this is what the contractor selection will be really important. Like you said, a bigger contractor with multiple crews and multiple sets of equipment so they can be working simultaneously would be really important.
Right, exactly.
I think until we get a contractor, it's just up in the air. We can't be, if, depending on who we get a contractor, we might have to reword our messaging at that point, but not until then.
Yeah, I would tend to agree.
You never know who many people are actually gonna try for the bid too.
Right.
So we might, do we always have to go with the lowest bid, or is there flexibility in picking the contractor that would meet our needs the best?
We don't always have to go with the lowest bid. We can take a look at the bids and make recommendations.
Okay.
Do we follow the town's procurement policy or somebody else's?
For the most part, we'll be working with the Water Investment Division and following their procedures, which are pretty detailed and I don't want to use the word rigid, but like pretty structured on how we look at all this. Once Lynette once we get through the design and permitting phase, there's folks in the construction division that will sort of pick up the project and continue to work with Stone. And there's, a pretty significant amount of documentation and paperwork that they'll want to see for the project to ensure that it, meets all of our specifications and plans and documents and all of the other requirements, for the grant funding. So anything to add to that, Lynette?
Yeah, Don will be the construction engineer.
Oh, Amy and I were just talking about it today. That's exciting to hear. We weren't sure if we'd get done.
Anything else on that, the schedule discussion?
Do you have any last questions for me? I have another village to pop over to.
Any
I'm
questions?
good.
Questions for Lynette? Thank you, Lynette. Appreciate your help.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Take
thanks,
care.
Lynette.
Just no move.
Going the wrong way.
Did they go over the bridge?
Someone went over the bridge when I came on tonight.
Tori and Linda, so, did you guys discuss this at last meeting? So we did not get the grant, unfortunately. At least $1 million grant.
It was
Okay.
not official at the last meeting, but it is now official that the Wolcott Wastewater project was not awarded the CDBG DR grant.
Any word as to why?
Went to housing in Barry, in Washington County. There's flood money. Johnson got a bit. I saw. And Morrisville Water and Light for their water system.
It sounds like there's some additional funding left to be awarded to additional housing projects, which might be something to keep in mind if anything else comes up in Wolcott around housing.
Peter, were you gonna work up like a backup envelope? You gonna work up a backup envelope estimate to hook up the far end of Flatiron, a few houses up there that could possibly go up the school driveway? We're trying to wrap my head around like how much that might be an add-on to the project for a future add-on.
It might be worth asking those people first before we put all that energy into it if they're interested.
Yeah, the only ones that I knew that were definitely interested was the
Ryan.
Fred Martin. Yeah.
Oh, where?
Does he have a property up there? What
On Flatiron?
his daughter was asking about that.
I don't know if they were maybe they were talking about purchasing one of those properties as well. This is when they started asking us about the Tetro properties.
I don't know if the Tetra's saying yes to that second lot is related to a potential sale to Fred, or that's just potential for whatever. But
Yeah, I'm not sure.
because they were asking about that lot, and then they asked about the Flatiron side. So I don't know if it's a future purchase. So they don't own a place up there now, do they? And so it's not worth putting a lot of effort into, Peter, but it's a question of like, should we, if there was interest, and do we want to apply for a grant for a potential add-on if there was interest?
Yeah, I'll look into that. I know we started to evaluate just like possible force main routes and lengths to go up the road or cross country on that side. And I know we maybe started thinking about what the pump station or step tank situation might look like. So I'll check in and try to refresh my memory how far we got with that. And my guess is we probably could pull together a reasonable estimate if we wanted to consider that for other grants.
Very silly question, back to Linda's point, if we're watching our pennies on this grant, is there a possibility that we might have a substantial chunk left over? Or that, I mean, I have no idea where we're at. And on the construction side and if that could be allocated later, if we have till September of 27 as an amendment to add on, or is that just something that's further down the road and a different grant source?
I think it has to be in the village area to be used for the grant.
Well, that was the ARPA, right?
For the ARPA, yeah.
But there's a different, okay. But now there's general fund money. Is that, I mean, does that make a difference?
I don't believe it makes a difference. But I don't know for sure. And with the way bids have been coming in the last 5 years, I hate to try to speculate that there would be anything left over. With that said, it's certainly a possibility, and I think that would be a reasonable strategy to try to add something on like that, if there is.
And
I would,
if the funding could be used outside of the village center.
yeah, I would. My gut is to not spend a ton of energy on that now until we start getting some bid information back.
Yeah. Okay. I just don't know, Tori, you always have a sense of the different grants that are coming, and is there any other grants that are coming out? And is it worth for us to apply for? So for this other grant, we technically maybe didn't need it. Unless we were doing an additional add-on.
Yeah, it might be helpful to just touch base in a call about all the grants and how the funding will be spent. I know like the CDBG program in general was something Seth had identified in the future, not specifically like the disaster recovery funds, but like other CDBG grants might be available down the road. But it's also hard to say what funding will be coming out, just given a lot of changes.
There are a lot of grants are
Funding.
drying out.
Yeah, seems like not a good time for grants right now.
Yeah.
Anything else folks want to talk about? Forrest, do you want to give us an update about what you've been up to? And
Sure. I just wanted to touch base on some funding. I've been working with DHS at CSUS, and his name is Adam Gamelin in Vermont. And next year, we're really hoping that there's going to be some in the next legislative session, we're going to be pitching some ideas because we need some funding for cybersecurity, and you could take advantage of that funding for controls. So basically, if there's it's hardening your controls so they can't easily be hacked. But that money's not available yet. Hopefully, it's going to be coming down the pipeline. I think it's going to be in front of the governor in January. But
so can you just, what do you mean by hardening your controls?
So if you have like remote capabilities where someone can like monitor the system from your phone, you could like apply for funding for more secure options to make sure that you have things in place to make sure it's air gapped, as they say. I don't know if there's also physical security, but I don't know if this funding is also going to cover that, but it should, because you need fences, you need cameras, things like that. And just for instance, so I've learned this past year, I ran targeted Siemens controls because they were made in Israel. And like us as water and wastewater operators, we're not paying attention to geopolitical affairs. We just kind of buy what's in our supply chain. So because we're using stuff that's being targeted, we need to be more mindful about that and CISA has something that's called secure by design, secure by default. And it's basically a list of vendors that you could purchase controls through that are more secure. And definitely, I think the grant money would go more towards those secure by design vendors.
So you're saying January, this session, they're gonna be considering that?
Yep. The money, I thought there was 100 million or 90 million available. I have to double check. I think that dried up, but they're going to be adding some more money to that pool. And with water being critical infrastructure, we're going to be qualified for that.
This federal?
Yes. I think it's through the Department of Homeland Security. And I was just thinking, like, there's no time like planning. I made that like to think about these secure controls, and I don't want to throw any monkey wrenches into your plans. But Peter, if you have anything about controls, you feel free to send them my way. Any thing in your design, like if you have any manufacturer you're thinking of, I'm aware of KEVs, they're known exploitable vulnerabilities. And for instance, the Iranians, all they had to do was they Googled the PDF of the user manual, and the user manual had the default password of 1111. And there's something called Shodan that basically any threat actor can scan any control that's public facing the internet. So if these are internet connected controls, they can see which ones are connected and then see if anyone changed their default password or not. And that's how they got in.
Okay, yeah. I'm interested in kind of hearing some more.
Yeah, definitely. Happy to have a chat anytime.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anything else? So we're gonna change our January meeting to the 13th. 5 o'clock, have the hearing first.
For that.
Peter, if you wouldn't mind, can you just send me a little blurb on how if you need the wording to be specific on the warning, agenda for Porch Forum, like if you need any specific language on that? Make sure we get our I's dotted and T's crossed and.
Didn't Lynette say once it's been approved that they would send that? No? Did I hear that?
Yes, she will. Well, she'll send the official FONSI approval and 30-day public comment period that goes out through them. This is just kind of a public hearing to discuss it if anyone wants to talk about it.
So it will need to be sent to us to put on the website.
Yes, it would be good to have it on the website. Yep.
Right, I think that's it. I think we're adjourned. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Thank you for all your help.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye.
Real thanks. Send it to Christine.